This meeting is being recorded.
Oh, we're on. Hey, folks, Rob Potter here from thepromiserevealed.net and the producer of the 9th annual summer conference in Mount Shasta. I've done 2 for 2 years, and I did not do them for 2 years, not because of COVID, but because Raymond and I were in jail in China at one point. No, I had a busy year in 2019, and another year in 2017, I took a hiatus. But I wanted to let you know I'm here today with, again, my very good friend, guide, mentor, spiritual master, adept. I know he doesn't like these kind of words, folks, but I'm just so honored to have you on again. And this time, folks, he's speaking from Deutschland. Raymond Keller, how are you today?
Fine. Guten Abend to everybody out there.
Yeah. Very good. I hope you had a good Frühstück. All right, so we're here. We're going to talk about a couple things today, and folks, I have a great respect for many of the researchers and some of the contactees who have information, and I'm not a Bible thumper. I'm not, but I believe in the truth and the message of the teacher and the master, Jesus Christ. And I have spoken about this before. I want to throw out every drop of religious bathwater and dogma and control and manipulation that has been intersected into the teachings of the life of the ascended master, Jesus Christ. Okay. And there are many, many Christs, and I don't think we, can differentiate between them. So there is a certain aspect of Jesus Christ that makes him special. And for those of you, you're gonna have to research this, but there's a book called the Urantia book. And this book is pretty thick. And it had an amazing amount of information, and it shared a lot of stuff. And it said that, they were kind of breaking down how the universe runs, the administration of the universe in the multiple dimensions. And even these higher dimensional beings were explaining to us some of these personages and divine personages. And they said even they don't know what these beings do and stuff. So the universe is very, very vast. So in the Urantia book, it said that they talked about creators of the galaxies. Just as you have created your body that exists as temporary, you have lives in your bodies that will arise and die. So they call them the logos, or you would be the logos of your body. There's a logos of the solar system. This is just one term of description. And the logos of the solar system, I think the Mayans called it Kenesha How, would be the sun. And there are 7 sacred planets, or 7 energetic centers, just like you have 7 energetic endocrine glands in your body that reflect the divine order, as above, so below. And there is a creator of this galaxy, and we would know him as the theophonic angel, the one like unto God. And in his creation, for his own growth, throughout the infinite eons that he is managing this solar system, I don't want to begin to possibly talk about knowing what that means or whatever, but he incarnates on various levels within his own system. And in this universe, he incarnated on the dense physical plane through an ascended master, Jesus Christ. And through Raymond's book, The Gospel of Thomas, I was able to learn many things through questioning Raymond. And one of the things I realized is that Sunat Kumara, who some people know or don't know, was a being that was born on Tau Ceti over 25 million years ago. And in one incarnation, he and his 4 brothers all became ascended masters. Now, he headed up a mission to Earth, a mission to this solar system when they were losing the atmosphere on their planet. And they had some ships that landed on Mars or crash landed, and one on Venus. And from my understanding, one missed Venus and went on. So an ascended master is basically a very high vibrational being that can incarnate on different worlds and aid in the, let's say, in the development of the solar system and many other things. So after 25 million years, and Kaz can correct me on this when I finish this little introduction, he was chosen to incarnate on Earth in order for him to be overshadowed for 3.5 years by the theophonic angel, who we would call Archangel Michael. And there's limitations in our thoughts and our perceptions and ideas about this. But just like the sun in our solar system reflects the grand central sun, or our moon reflects the sun, in the same way, this unique avatar reflected the creator sun, or the logos of this galaxy. Kaz, did I get any of that wrong? Was it years or right?
Oh, yeah, you got it right, Rob. Although Sunat Kumara had 3 brothers, so there were 4 altogether.
Wow, that's right. That's right, 4 altogether. So, and I don't know, I'm sorry, maybe he should have had some sisters too, but I just wanted to give that information to you. So I'm going to read to you something about Jesus Christ. And again, I am not religious. And there was a contactee, and I'm sure many of you know them, and I know she is a real contactee. I know she's having real experiences, and I know that she is getting information from a being primarily in the Taurus cloud in the Pleiades. And the Pleiades have various different perceptions. They're probably one of the most advanced civilizations, along with Aldebaran in the Taurus cloud, near the galactic center, and have the most advanced technology. So I want to share this information. And in a recent talk, she mentioned with another researcher, well-intended, a couple things. One was when she had spoken with Valiant Thor, who I have also met, and who I have also in a series of dialogues with, and you can read these messages. They'll be in my book that's hopefully going to be out this year. And at my summer conference, I'm going to be reading all the questions and answers from Valiant Thor. But I want to read this information from Valiant Thor because there's been some controversy about Dr. Frank Strange's and his religious views. Now, he definitely came from a Baptist type of upraising, and he had quite a few miracles that took place in his life. His father was very much a Jesus person. And the Venusians do look at Jesus as the firstborn of heaven and a special incarnation. So I'm going to read this because I want to counter some information and just clarify some stuff here. So this is a message directly from Valiant Thor to be read at the Inner Circle meeting number 32 on November 3rd, 2008, at which I was present. So here it is. And I'll just share you the picture here. This is the Starship Victor 1. There's a picture of Commander Val. And this is the inside of the ship here. You can probably pause this screen and read everything if you want. I'm not going to go into the schematics of what the first and second level. It's about 100 yards across in diameter. And so this is going to clarify information about the Venusians and their relationship to Jesus Christ. Go ahead, Kaz.
Oh, yes, Rob, it's very interesting that you have that material for Valiant Thor, because I continue to work on the series. And this is the Dr. Frank Strange's document file number 2, which I shared with you in out in California or in Nevada.
Las Vegas,
And,
yeah.
So right now I'm at part 36, when he was on tour after the Phenomena 7.7 movie. And he did the TV show, Flying Saucers, Here and Now, and the syndicated TV series. And then he even went on the UFO TV series in England. And he was representing the American UFO investigator. So he was an actor in that in that film. But all kind of all kind of information in here with all of the minutes and documentation, all of the different spacecraft conventions and things that he was conducting at the time. And so if there's anything that you say that needs backing up, it just so happens I carried this one book with me from the States here to Germany. So
Wunderbar.
yeah.
Fantastic. So yes, Raymond, of course, this is going to be his 9th book. He's combining a book about Dr. Frank Strange's, as well as a woman named Dorothy Martin, very famous here in Mount Shasta, known as Sister Thedra, who had spaceships, clouds directly over her house on a clear day. And she was a direct channel. She worked for a period of time with the IM Foundation, the Saint Germain group. But when someone has that type of information, of course, you draw some fire. And I think I do respect the people with the different viewpoints. And Valiant Thor had told the one contactee, and I'm not trying to create controversy here, but she said that, she said, well, why did you talk so much about Jesus, and why was it so religious? And Valiant Thor, he said to her, well, people's apperceptions, that's what they wanted to feel. So I want to clarify that. And I want to think maybe the apperceptions of that person had to be taken into consideration with that actual comment. He never spoke ill or negative about Jesus Christ. And I'm going to recommend her. She's a sweet person, and I think she has tremendous information to next time she meets Val. I think she's had maybe 6 or 10 hours with him. Of course, Dr. Frank had over 40 years of contact with Valiant Thor, or 50 years of contact with Valiant Thor face to face, and went on board the ship regularly. He traveled throughout the globe in the spaceships and on planes with them, and they went with him on various excursions to Europe and around the world, where he presented the message of Christ and explaining about the angels, or the messengers of God, who have administered to this world. So here is the inner circle meeting, and I'm going to read you a direct quote from Valiant Thor. Here was the Christ, the wonderful perfect being who was always moved with inner compassion over the plight of human race, whose mere breath healed the sick, was tied to a cross like a common criminal. He hung seemingly helplessly. We all stood by waiting for a word or a signal for us to act. One word would have unleashed such power as mankind had never witnessed before. Thousands of angelic hosts were standing by, ready, willing, and believe me when I say able to entirely wipe mankind from the face of the planet. However, our hands were stayed until the words "it was finished" was uttered. On the appointed morning, an angel, a personal friend of mine, was sitting on top of the round stone, which had been, you hear that? On the appointed morning, an angel, a personal friend of mine, was sighted sitting on top of the round stone, which had been moved out of its place by divine power. He is the one who said to the woman who gathered at the tomb for the anointing of the body, "Have no fear. He is not here. He has risen." By that time, we knew something wonderful was about to occur. The master traveled for several days, showing up to many hundreds of faithful followers, and then ascended high into the heavens, clothed in a very bright, completely surrounded by legions of angels? No, because I was one of them. So this is very clearly stating that they really look upon Jesus as a very special incarnation. And there are many divine incarnations, and there are many divine personages throughout the galaxy. Can you talk about what they mean by Jesus Christ was the firstborn of heaven, and that in that sense, they say he was the living word of God in flesh? And I'm not trying to promote a personality cult. I just want you to realize that this planet has been very crucial in the administration of the universe in regards to what has been called the fall and a lot of the problems that the lower material worlds have suffered, and that he incarnated here. And when Satan appeared to him in his fasting, he says, I own the world. Literally, the dark hierarchy of darkness had control over this world. He says, I can give you everything. He said, no thanks. Cause, can you speak about the importance of that rejection of the fallen angel Lucifer and his influence on the world, and how this relates to the firstborn of creation?
Oh, yes. Well, the Spirit of God was mightily upon Jesus, and he was the firstborn, listed in the Bible as the firstborn of creation. So
What does that mean?
his
He was already an ascended master. So I don't understand.
right. Well, this is his pre-existence before coming to Earth. He was the firstborn.
So that was when he was fused with Archangel Michael for that period of time.
Right, right. And then, and of course, in the Gospel of John, it says that in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was
God.
God. So right. So and then all things were created by him, and without him, nothing could have been made that was made. And then we also see that in Colossians, it says Jesus is speaking to was speaking to the disciples and taught them that if you've seen me, you've seen the Father, because they always ask, well, where's the Father? Where's God? So he was saying, it's here, it's inside of me. And his incarnation was very important because it was at the meridian of time, and he walked openly among the human race, and unfortunately they didn't recognize who he was when he was here, but he did put his message across, even though it cost him his life. He said, nothing's going to deter me from going to Jerusalem and completing this this mission, even if I would be crucified to do it. I'm going to do it. That's what I came to do, and that's what I'm going to do.
Right. And through that sacrifice and really through that divine personage, the reason for that was to prove the fact of eternal life and the to the earth materialistic entropic universe where we had no direct experiences. And it seems as though we seem to fail and fail again at the message, and this has to do with a complex of what's called exopolitical position where the earth holds. So I'm kind of curious. So from what I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, that before Jesus went on the cross, the theophonic angel actually departed him, and as an individual, normal, incarnated, I guess, divine master already, had to go through the crucifixion on his own. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
So he made that decision and went through this.
And to distinguish what we were saying before about the pre-existence, there's plenty of instances in the Bible where Jesus, in his capacity as a theophanic angel, as the angel of the angel of the Lord, did appear to people, and in various circumstances, like with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and they were in the fiery furnace, and then they were protected by the appearance of the angel of the Lord. They survived, and they just walked out without even a char on their body anywhere.
Yeah, so I want to make this clear, folks. We said here in my question, Elon, the gentleman I met, folks, was about 2,400 years old. He was born as 600 BC as a Zoroastrian beekeeper in the under Darius the Great in Persia, and he became translated to Venus, a technology whereby the DNA is quickened, and they can seal your DNA at a certain age for, in his case, thousands of years. And I personally, and I'm going to ask this question for you folks, I hope we have the answer at the inner circle, and even if it's not the Elon, but I believe Elon was one of the security chiefs for Jesus, walking amongst him, telepathically communicating with him, and seeing to it that his mission went as planned. So and to back up this other contactee, who many of you are figuring out who it is, Valiant Thor came into his room at one inner circle meeting. He said, folks, Valiant Thor came into my room last night, and I had gone up into the room, and he goes, Valiant Thor was just here, and he sat right there. And I said, oh, sat right there. So I sat in the chair where he had just sat. And he said, at the meeting the next day, he said, Valiant Thor came into my room last night and gave me a pep talk before, and said, Dr. Frank, don't preach so much. And he says, I can't help it. Praise the Lord. Hallelujah. And I was laughing in the meeting because I'm not really a Bible thumper, and I generally, recognize the magnificence of this divine incarnation and the sacrifice that was made and was going forward. But I believe,
Rob, Dr. Frank had a lot of problems, even with the religious authorities in his own denomination. He was a member of the Assembly of God and ordained a minister in 1951 in Minneapolis, Minnesota. But they told him that as long as he's talking about the connections of angels and aliens and UFOs and ufology and flying saucers and this kind of thing, that they'll recognize his church and his ministry, but it can't be officially connected with the main body of the Assemblies of God. It had to be an independent organization.
he said he asked so many questions, they would just go, what are you talking about? Just listen to our scripture, what we're telling you. So, he said he researched, they said there was one particular part of the Bible where he was reading some text. It said, and a bun danced on the table. And he looked at it and they go, well, what do you mean? You did that? Obviously a little bun danced on the table. It was a miracle. And he researched it, and I think it was the Lamsa Bible or something, but by George Lamsa, which was his favorite interpretation of the Bible. He said he researched it and said abundance danced on the table. So these are the problems with the transliterations and of course the authorities who want to talk about the Bible as the only truth. Dr. Frank was clear that the Bible was written by men, inspired by God. And of course, with all these years later, it's held the test of time because of the accentuation of the miracles that were performed. So, Kaz, I wanted to go into one of the questions. I said that I believe in Christ, I believe in his mission, but I had problems. I said, I don't really want to emphasize the Christ, and this is the answer from Elon, security chief, who personally knows Jesus Christ. I know that for a fact because he did appear on board the spaceship. He is a spirit, but he can go, and I believe he is very involved in the life on many different worlds. And you can talk about that. It says, Dr. Frank was correct in worshiping Jesus insofar as Jesus is a physical manifestation of the eternal God, who is a spirit and must be worshipped and honored in spirit and truth. Insofar as Jesus is the first and primal aspect of the eternal God, it is right and proper that he should be worshipped. For those who have seen Jesus have seen and experienced the true and living God. As the firstborn of material creation in the fullness of time, no one is like unto God, coming closest to his glory but Jesus Christ, who has been known by many names through numerous incarnations on your planet. Jesus is best worshipped and honored through an acquisition of the knowledge he came to earth to impart and to us and applying it in our everyday lives. In other words, you don't have to go around saying, Jesus, Jesus, are you saved? Believe in Jesus, repeat his words, and it's all finished. And that's all you need to do. I think that's pretty limiting. So I said, can I worship him, by example? They said, yes, this is exactly what he's an acquisition of the knowledge he came to impart and applying it, patience, kindness, and all the things that I have problems with. The seeker can discover the identity in these previous incarnations through a study of history and theogonies of numerous people who have inhabited your sphere. Who were the great teachers? Who were the brave reformers? What themes did their messages have in common? This survey should be done with great care and attention to detail. And so I wanted to just talk about that a little bit and make it clear, folks, that the Venusians, I guess, compared to many other races and the endless worlds in our galaxy, let alone creation, do have a different view than other groups. And I asked them what the reason was. What was the many different reasons that the different races have different views on Christ. And the Queen had told me, and I'm going to paraphrase here, she said that they all have their different apperceptions, and each group has their apperceptions. Maybe it was Elon who said this, that each star council or federation or alliance, what they call them, there's thousands of them, have their own apperceptions. Then each planet has its own apperceptions. And then the individual representing and talking to a human has their apperceptions. And then the human's interpretation of that filters that. So can you talk a little bit? I think they said that the group in the Pleiades cluster, can you kind of talk what they said about that and share the different view? And they definitely are very scientific and maybe don't necessarily look at Jesus Christ in the same way that the Venusians do. Although I'll say this. That,
sure, Rob.
Yeah.
I would be happy to do that. The difference is essentially one of distance. Venus is the closest planet to the Earth, and Jesus Christ himself identified with the planet Venus. Revelation 22 verse 16, I am the bright and morning star. This is different than the Pleiades. Of course, the Pleiades is mentioned in the Old Testament being the seven sisters.
Right.
But we're talking about a star group comprising at least 250 solar systems and countless more planets than we can imagine in our sector on the rim of the galaxy. So we are a species that is at a very critical juncture in time. As of the late 1940s, we entered the space age and the atomic age. And if we don't learn these lessons very soon of coming together and advancing through cosmic evolution, then we're lost. So we're essentially special case scenario. And
Right.
that's why Jesus was, that's why he was sent. And there are people on the earth who have been translated. For example, his disciple John, the beloved, Jesus told him you could read it in the Bible, that he will be in the earth in a physical form until he returns to the earth again in the end of times, in the latter days.
Mm-hmm.
So there are many that have been translated or quickened in their physical body that are still here. They're still walking among us, and many more. So while there isn't a mass ascension on the horizon anytime soon, there are individuals who have been worthy for that honor, like Annalise Guerin and her story in the Venus Rising book, that have undergone this process. So they are there along with the angels to help and guide us.
You know, along with Lady Orda, the woman that took you to Venus, who the ascended master El Moria, known as Lord Dyson, the good thief, or the apostle who was told by Christ on the cross, "You will be with me this day in paradise." Because we've had this discussion before, and I wasn't sure it's going to go. I guess I kind of wanted to bring it into a more spiritual thing, and I want you guys to know, again, I'm not a Bible thumper, and I was having problems with understanding this, and the mystery of the incarnation of the Spirit of God in one human form. To be clear, when Jesus said, if you've seen me, the Father, in reality, there's nowhere that God is not, and the Creator, the Father God, is in every person. Correct?
Yes, that's right.
And even for
we all have a divine spark, a divine essence. We're more than some slime that oozed off of a rock, umpteen billion years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So we're here. We have a purpose, and we have a celestial destiny.
Right. And speaking of translation, of course, we have George Van Tassel, George Adamski, and we have Lady Columba and Lady Aurora, who appeared to you, and of course, Elon. So this is kind of a natural aspect of evolution. When we achieve a spiritual balance within ourselves and have learned the lessons here, we go to a higher paradisical world of existence, and then we can actually serve as the Venusians do in the more material worlds that are still learning their lessons. One of the things that you reveal in Dr. Frank Strange's new book, which is fantastic, folks, you're going to have to get this one. It's going to be combined with Sister Thedra's information, is that the rebellion that took place in the galaxy that's spoken about by the South American contactees, Louis Martin, Sixto Paxo Wells, and Ricardo Gonzalez, face-to-face repeated contactees who speak with Venusians and people from different systems as well. They say that there was a battle in the universe, and it had to do over some administration. So when we think of the angels, it's really just the level of development that these multidimensionals have. And excuse me for saying this, but even these higher dimensional beings are in their own growth process and having different learning things. And what they said is that the demons were cast into the earth. Can you talk about the expulsion from paradise and what that means? Because it's kind of, we have these nebulous terms in the Bible that are thrown out there, and then we get preachers going in, that means this, and this means that. We don't really know. I'm kind of curious. I'm going to ask more clarifications in my next series of questions, what that expulsion from paradise was, and considering all the genetic engineering of the various races through the millions of years of the human species, what is the fall, and what about the demons cast into the earth and them owning the earth? I mean, how did they own this earth and be able to tell Christ is their incarnation, I own the earth, worship me, and I can give it to you? And he said, no. Talk about what Dr. Frank said about these beings. He often talked about the grays, that they were inside the earth, causing
Oh,
havoc.
yes. Well, this is very interesting because Dr. Frank was explaining in many of his lectures about the creation of the world, was essentially kind of agrees with the tradition of the Hopis and some of the Native Americans, that there were other Earths before this one, and great civilizations that have come and gone that we don't even know their names of. Of course, he said that the word in the beginning. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the deep. That he said that there were that the correct Hebrew translation of that is that the earth, the material of the earth, and everything was reorganized and reconstituted, and that many of the angels were the survivors of that destruction, as well as other worlds, even in our own solar system. There was a planet called Marduk between the orbit of Mars and Jupiter, and what happened to these people, these beings, and there was a time when the corruption was so great upon the earth that everything had to be wiped out and start over again many times. So Adam, in the course of Adam and Eve, there was, this was a second chance.
Right. So the earth had been destroyed, and of course, the administration or the higher beings that administer to the life on the various worlds. So we can kind of see the material worlds as kind of like farms for the soul that get tilled under. And unfortunately, there seems to be this negative force. Can you talk about the personalities, or kind of what this, we hear about Satan going before God and accusing mankind, and all this stuff. And Dr. Frank talked about this. Of course, he had this heavy biblical viewpoint of it, which, and I don't blame people for being triggered because of all the wars that have been created and done in the name of Christ, and all of the ignorance and the hoity-toity elitism of the people only worship Jesus and not recognize any other. God's given us many avatars and many spirits of truth to us throughout these years. And I'm just kind of curious, talk about the beings cast into the earth. I mean, I believe that Marduk was destroyed because of maybe the AI or the negativity and the opening up portals to the lower dimensions and bringing in negativity that would interfere with the human existence. Was necessary to destroy that planet, became the asteroid belt. Maybe that was a galactic example that Valiant Thor might have been alluding to, and I don't think he would have looked upon wiping out Earth with any relish, but I'm sure they were greatly distressed by the way that this great avatar was taught. Talk about the casting into the earth and who these beings are and your understanding of that.
Oh, okay. Well, there was a great war in the heavens throughout our galaxy, and maybe extending beyond. And 1/3 of the hosts of heaven were in rebellion and were cast out of these paradisical realms, these higher dimensions, into our lower density that we're in. They still retain some of their supernatural powers
Compared to us, right?
right, compared to us. But that's why we have the angels here to help guide and protect us, and avatars sent among us to help us along the way. And then, of course, Dr. Frank talked about the different kinds of angels. So we have reaping angels, guardian angels, celestial messengers, and so forth, all working
guiding
on
and
our
ministering, guiding, ministry, guardian, and of course, the ones that are being kind of overworked right now, the reaper angels.
Yes, yeah, Dr. Frank is very interesting, and it's such an honor to work with his material. I know that I have all the material from the beginning of his ministry up through the 1980s, and then you have the inner circle meetings up until the time of his transitioning. So this is very important. Once we get all of it together, we'll have a bigger picture and a greater spiritual understanding and awakening.
Yeah, I definitely will be. I'm going to be reading some of these inner circle meetings to clarify some of the information. And again, I'm not trying to promote Jesus or any religious dogma or religious bathwater, but I think the understanding, a greater gnosis of the truth of the interdimensionality and the infinite nature of God's creation is important. So we talk about we want ascension, and we realize that the earth here, imagine us as this fledgling earth, and we've been destroyed before, and finally whatever Adam and Eve, the higher dimensional beings, come down and tweak the DNA a little bit and to bring up a new life form. And as I understood, the idea was for the human race to transpose angelic functions in the flesh on the material plane. And so many different races had contributed DNA in a grand experiment. And there was a group that had been aligned against this. And these beings interfered with this genetic evolution of mankind. So we can kind of see it as that behind the scenes. And then we have this earth. It's kind of like a new garden with sprouts just coming in. And we all talk about ascension. Well, here we have a whole host of, we'll call them demons for lack of a better word, descending. And as far as they were descended and punished, they were still higher than us. So they were able to wreak pretty much havoc, right?
Yes, yeah, that's it. Well, when I hear people discounting Jesus and the message of Jesus and the importance of the Gospels and everything, it's so disappointing, because this is essential information for the progression of Earth. We're definitely more than just an evolution from a step up from the lemurs. We've got a divine spark in us, and we have an eternal destiny that's so exalted that it's beyond imagination. And to deny that is to undercut our importance as a species. And I believe that one day we will be in the Galactic Confederation, and in alliance with many other worlds, solar systems, and even other galaxies.
Yeah, well, the Urantia book just talk about in the development of mankind that they saw the lemur as a had the proper spiritual developmental qualities that evolved into our current human form. So again, I just want to emphasize that you can understand why people reject Jesus because of all of the wars. You had 400 years of Inquisition. Now you have pedophiles and Satan worshiping beings and control network of finance. It has nothing to do with the life of Christ or the message of that avatar. And I remember as a kid, hallelujah, Jesus, and oh, I'm about here, loose the demons from this man's head. So I would just laugh at that, and then, give me some money, folks. So these religious hucksters and potentiates and ecclesiastical authorities, I rebuke you for your ignorance. We just gotta stop, making, claiming that everyone who believes in Allah or follows the teachings of Muhammad is an infidel. I'm sorry for you religious limited thinkers, but we are all one people under God cause. That's right? We're all the same. We're all
we are. I always looked at it, Rob, with like the scenario about the 5 blind men, blindfolded men, and the elephant.
Yeah.
They all got a piece of it. They were all touching a piece of it, a different body part. But it's hard to get the big picture until you take the blindfold off. But there's something in the human soul that we know that we're divine, that there's an eternal fraternity, brotherhood, sisterhood between all of us here on this planet, also with our brothers and sisters of Venus and other planets as well. We're all part of this bigger picture, and once we realize that, I think we'll be heading in the right direction. There's the 3 points of the Theosophical Society, the objects of the Theosophical Society, that I believe also reflect the mission of the Venusians here on Earth. So we have number 1 is to respect the universality of all human beings, regardless of their race, creed, color, sex, whatever. The second one is to search for knowledge in all areas of endeavor, all fields of research. Don't be limited by dogmas and dogmatic thinking or people telling you what to believe and so forth. You find truth. There's no religion higher than truth. We find it in science. We find it in history and mathematics, all different areas. And third, and most important, is that beyond the 5 senses, we have great powers latent within us, but they're like muscles that we haven't used. And once we learn to exercise these, we can do amazing things. Remember that Jesus taught his disciples that you see the things I'm doing. Well, you have it within you to do even greater things. So go out there and do them. And
Right.
that's the message. That's the message of the Venusians for us here on Earth. They've been where we are. They know what it's like. They have a history. They've gone through periods of warfare and struggle, and they made it. So they want to see us make it too, to advance to a higher level.
One of the things I want to talk about, when we think about God, I'm going to, this was shown to me when I was very young, and some of my out-of-body experiences. I went through these very long journeys, and I was taught many different metaphysical things, kind of like living and understanding the growth of the soul and stuff. And imagine the one, just the point, not the hand, just the finger, the one point. That is the knower, the known, and the knowing. The knower the knower, knowing, and the known. So this is, we have to put it in this term, or as Alex Collier and I like to call it, the isness, always is, was, and will be. This was just by itself, and in one undescribable, undiscernible moment that is beyond comprehension, it had a thought. And when it thought, it created, two little spirals, a masculine and a feminine. At the moment of separation, it created a space between them. So you have a masculine, feminine, or a duality, and then you have what they call the dharma, or the relationship between them. And so we had the father as the one, and then the father became the mother and made a movement. So they're both basically at the same time. We just call it a masculine gender, but it came out. And so in between is the Christ consciousness. Every single particle in all densities of time and space is part and parcel of God. You are God. You're not less than God. You are moving and learning in God. So I want to make that clear. So I'm going to say one more thing. Dr. Frank Changes had reported in one of the inner circle meetings that some of the gray beings, or those cast down or in their descension process, who are wreaking havoc on the earth, kind of interfering like a garden. So we were like a little sprout of vegetables growing up, and all of a sudden we had this descension of a bunch of chaff, a bunch of weeds coming in and influencing us. And it's our free will, and it's a very challenging thing for the innocent to make a choice and a decision to be influenced by the materialistic, fear-based control, negative force, and the positive force. And this has been a hidden interaction on Earth for many reasons and for a long period of time. And we're reaching the level of development now, cause where greater understanding with our technology, it's important that we grow into an understanding, a more mature understanding of who we are, where we came from, life in the other universe, and be ready and prepared for the coming revelation that we're not alone. Would you like to comment on that a little bit?
Oh yes, I would. What you were talking about, this awareness of divinity and so forth, has often been this field of consciousness that permeates the universe that Helena Blavatsky talked about. That there's not a space in the universe where there is an intelligence, organized intelligence. It's kind of like the ocean, and we're, each of us as a soul are like an individual drop of rain. We all have an awareness of ourselves as this drop of rain. And then once we precipitate in the clouds and we fall down into the ocean, then we still retain our individual consciousness, but now we've been expanded to a whole oceanic world.
Kind of like the changeling Odo.
Right.
So
I mean, it is really a marvelous thing to contemplate. I know that research has been done that shows that proof of survival, when people are dying, as they die, then they're sudden they have weighed them, and they're like a few ounces less right after they die, and some have surmised, well, that's their spirit that's leaving to join the universe.
Yeah, the earthly fleshly body.
Right.
Yeah, one of the things Dr. Frank said that Valiant Thor was commanded to place in a bubble some of these fallen gray beings that fly in the beehive ships. Incident at Gulfport by, I think, an abductee, Ed Waters, who, they were freezing him and taking him and doing all their weird stuff with them. And so Valiant Thor was commanded to do that. And when these lower dimensional demons tried to impinge upon the the sixth dimensional inner earth interior government of what we call Shambhala, that used to be located beneath the Gobi Desert, has been since moved to the South American vortexes with a change in around 2012 to 15. There was a transference of the interior government of the higher dimensional beings and the various civilizations that live inside the earth. They've divided the earth into 12 locations, and now the center is in Lake Titicaca and the volcano Sahama and many other places in South America that have brand new interior governments. So these beings, negative beings, were going in and encapsulate, and they would get a bubble surrounded them while they tried to infiltrate these inner dimensions, and they would go up to God. Dr. Frank said they'd go up and he would say, "Why are you encapsulating my angels? I own the earth." And they just go, "Forget it. You're not going there." So it seems that there is this unfortunate situation with a situation of the earth that we're unaware of. They call it, as you have Asgard or Midgard, Asgard, and what's the other one?
Valhalla, you mean?
No. The inner earth is the inner earth, and then I forget. I think it's called Asgard, Midgard, Ragnarok. So there's the three levels of inside the earth, Terra, surface, and then of course the heavenlies. So we just have to wake up to the fact that we're not alone, that there's a huge administration, and that we've been kind of cut off from that due to our the influences and the very well orchestrated, well funded, very organized plans of higher dimensionals manipulating the Earth's thinking. And the time now is that the intergalactics have declared an end to this situation. I'm going to do, because we're even going to go longer if we can. It's been an hour, but I'm going to do a little infomercial here, folks.
Oh yeah, that would be all right. I just wanted to say about the inner earth in our Dr. Frank series. I think it was it's already up to part 36, but like around part 10 or so was Dr. Frank's commentary on the inner earth and all the vast cavern networks and the information that he got from Dr. Raymond Barnard, who wrote the book about the original book about the inner world, and then the artist who did that artwork about the inner world, that was for Dr. Frank, and that he used that in his book.
Well, Dr. Frank revealed that Valiant Thor took him to the inner earth, and he met these 14-foot beings, and he said it was absolutely incredible in there, and that they had grapes the size of a basketball. So he said it was quite delicious. One grape could feed a lot of people. So he said Valiant Thor is respected there, as well as many other worlds, and as recommended as an emissary. And for those of you folks who don't know, he was not born on Venus. He was a created being. He showed up on Venus and was adopted by Don Thor and Thon Thor and the Thor family, and took on that last name. Now he has indicated that he takes on various bodies and all that stuff. So I want to share this. Really, I have a special for the people with memberships, and you got emails. I'm sending that out today. So this is a cool little thing. It helps my diabetes. My blood pressure is getting a little high, and I went back on this protocol. I sometimes forget to do this as often, but you just turn this thing on. You just change the time. I put a thing, and then you push this button here, and it irradiates the blood and purifies the blood. It can lower blood sugar in all heart conditions, whether your HDLs are high or your LDLs are high or low. It normalizes it. It's called irradiation therapy. And so it's a wonderful item, and I have a special on my website now. So
Rob, is that working at like 150 megahertz? Is that what that is?
Now this is just laser light on it's just
okay. Oh, the
it
laser
penetrates the skin and purifies the blood. You can actually see you have sluggish or thick blood, and so this, within 15 minutes it changes it. And generally speaking, all the research done at Harvard and in China is that if you use this for 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week for 90 days, you will vastly improve your health. And they're a little cumbersome, and then you bump it and it goes off. So I just tried to do it. I went in for a blood pressure check and it was high, and I did it for a couple of weeks. I went in and had something else. So then I got my jewelry coming out. This is an amazing new device, and that's on my website. So now, a little bit of information for those of you who've been dying to hear about Dr. Frank Strange's appearance in Mount Shasta Summer Conference this year. I'm going to share the screen here and take you through some fun stuff here. So on the home page here, and I'll take you where that is in a minute, but I've just got this up for those of you who are wondering what's going on. So we have all the talk titles, and we're going to be doing a little editing, but the descriptions by the many speakers. And then we have these workshop descriptions, which are quite incredible. And then we have the schedules, and you can see right here, I'm just going to take you to Thursday, click on that image there, and we're going to go and see, well, we have 3 locations. The first day we have 1. So we're starting off, and there's Raymond Keller. He's the first speaker right after me, and he's going to talk about all the questions he's received through the years about the Venusians in a wonderful PowerPoint, and you can ask questions. We got him down here. We got Alex Collier kicking it off for 2 hours. And I said, what do you want to talk about? And he's so laid back. And I said, okay, I'll call it what is ever on my mind, because he does that. So we do that. And then we have, let's see, we got the workshop descriptions. And some of these are paid beyond the thing. For some of the speakers wanted to provide some information. Generally, they're 2 hours workshops, or sometimes less. Brad Olson, Maureen St. Germain, Scott Warner, Jane DeForest. She will, if you want to speak to your dead aunt or uncle, or your father's died. I spoke with Fred Bell, amazing things. So a lot of good stuff there. And then, of course, I'm going to take you to the main page here. We have, this is the home page. You click on this banner. We got Laura Eisenhower coming, and we're almost out of 40 tickets, folks. They're at $350 right now. If you're members, they get a little bit cheaper. But on Friday, there will only be 3-day tickets. It's still going to be a fantastic event. There's only 1 room on Thursday. And then starting Friday, we have many things. So this is where you click your ticket. You have information. You want to be a vendor. We still have some volunteer positions, all the hotels. Look at this. Click on the hotel. You want to know where to stay. It's all right there. So that's enough of the inner circle promotion there. So I want to stop sharing screen here. And I guess I would like to talk a little bit more about, can you talk a little bit more about these interdimensionals and kind of a little bit of the political situation? From what I understand, these covenants that allowed these higher dimensional beings to be in charge of the earth was for a very long time. And as I understand it, these covenants have changed. There's a new sheriff in town, and the Galactic Confederations are coming together to stop this AI threat. There's many different things that they disagree with on how to help the Earth. Some want more direct involvement, but they definitely want to nurture us into this new age. So we see these different changes. So if you can elaborate a little bit more on this,
Sure.
this changing of administration and what is hidden to us, and the tremendous amount of service in the Jupiter portal, the Saturn portal. Maybe you can share some of your knowledge of these administrators that are going, what are we doing on Earth? What's going on? And it's been the Venusians and a few others for a very short period of time. And it seems we've gathered a lot of attention, and now we have the big boys, the highway patrol, the this force, that force, and they're all in agreement. They got to wrap up the negative descended beings and let the Earth have a rest for a bit. You've talked to me about that before. Please share about that.
Okay, Rob. Well, it's very important to the Confederation of Light that the Earth maintain its sovereignty and develop on its own, not with an accelerated infusion from alien technologies or from AI or any other influence, respecting the sovereignty of the earth, that we might develop and grow in peace and prosperity and achieve a planetary energy grid where we share energy and resources, where we become a unified world, where it's done not by coercion of even one country. Um, these are some of the things that have to happen, and I'll tell you, the angelic force on Venus and in the Confederation of Light is having to work overtime of late because of all the attempts to intervene in Earth's history and development.
And that includes the time travel that some of these beings are actually violating, I believe, galactic law by trying to go into the past. And timelines is a big part of it, right?
Oh, yes, yes. Balancing out the timeline is very important. So far as we know, there's only 7 other other timelines. So we have something to gauge the course that this world is moving in, and to go back and forth and make adjustments as necessary. But that's all I could say about it.
Right. Kaz is very experienced in that. He got caught in a time travel mishap. That's in his wonderful 3rd book, Cosmic Ray's Excellent Adventure, where he traveled to 1954 with the then Dolores Barrios, a dual citizen of Earth and Venus, who took him to Venus in 2012. Kaz doesn't like me talking about it, but I got to share. And he witnessed the ascension of a previous queen of Venus. They run along the beehive, and it's not royalty, folks. It's gauged by service, and the masters of wisdom and the Venusians all choose. I don't know how it's chosen, but they choose a queen, and that queen is also the head of the Solar Council Tribunal and the representative to the larger Galactic Confederation of our Galactic Confederation of Light, which is a mere 51 systems and 601 worlds. Whereas I'm sure the Pleiades, and I heard there's a group, the Corindorians that Bob Renaud and Gabriel Green talked about. I think they have 1,000 worlds, and so they're pretty much double the size of our confederation. So the 1,000 worlds with spacefaring capabilities. I mean, you can imagine the might of enforcement should they choose to do it, but they're very circumspect because the bad guys, they used to blow up entire planets in these battles. So they've come to an agreements now that they try to work their agendas out behind the scenes, but the Venusians had indicated to me that if these guys got really bad, they would come down and intervene. There's another contactee, and some of you may know about it, that talks smack about the Confederation's view, and it's the Confederation's problem. They didn't do anything in World War I or II or the plague or this or that. Can you talk about why the direct intervention hasn't taken place, and to kind of counter this the Federation is the problem, and whatever this hit piece is, it's just an apperception, allegedly, of the Tagatans, which I don't believe. Semyasi's from there, and from what I understand, the real ones. There's been a lot of talk that this source, who's really a sweet person, I believe is just misleading because she's just repeating everything they tell her, and she's kind of been swayed to their contrarian view of the Confederation. And from my own position, I was really feeling that more should be done. I mean, if the Earth's going to be lost, let's do something. I mean, even just showing yourself and just saying, "Hey, kids, settle down, stop this," that would definitely cause a monkey wrench in some dark plans. But again, their wisdom is that it's not wise. Can you talk about
Sure, Rob, I'd be happy to.
Thank you.
Well, I think Gene Roddenberry, when he created the Star Trek series, and he talked about the non-directive or non-interference directive,
Yeah.
he got it. He essentially got it right. Um, even a benevolent live long and prosper, my friend.
Go ahead.
Even a benevolent dictatorship is terrible. You know, Evelyn Smith, the science fiction writer back in the 1950s, she wrote a novel about aliens from a superior civilization coming down to Earth and imposing a benevolent dictatorship where everything was wonderful, all the needs were met, and anything that they needed and the material world was there. But you know, they lost their self-determination, and without your own self-will and self-determination then and free agency, you know, what is there then? And so we see in that scenario, the people of Earth rebelled and they wanted to go back to the chaos of even fighting with one another, but it was too late. And then the solar beings that had landed on Earth, they had to a hard time in figuring out what to do. And let's take a look at Earth's history. I'm a history teacher, taught junior high, high school, college, and university history classes. And I can tell you that in the course of human events, to borrow a phrase from Thomas Jefferson, in the course of human events, there hasn't been one interaction, encounter of another civilization with another of a superior technology that hasn't, even if they didn't enslave anybody or conquer anybody, but the culture and the civilization would just disappear and go away, and they would become absorbed, you know, like another.
Uh-oh. He's frozen there. So until he comes back, I'm going to say I had asked the Venusians about that. And they said, look, when the Pilgrims came to America, the Wampanoag tribe was completely decimated. And I read that book by Evelyn Rains, who was by Commander Aura Rains, who was posing as an Earth science fiction writer named Evelyn Smith. And there are pictures of her. So I'm hoping Cosmic Ray will come back in. I'm gonna I can't really, there's nothing I can do to contact him now. So I'm gonna talk, we'll see if he can come back in a little bit and maybe come back out, and let's see if I can let's see here. I'm not sure how to do this, so it could be maybe it's time for this interview to be over, but I know that their feeling is that we need to develop on our own. In that book, with all the things given to us, we could kind of become like a spoiled child. We could resent or become jealous of those who provided the higher technology. And we must, as a culture and as a world, develop our own societal infrastructure. But really, more importantly, we have to develop our right relationship to each other. So there's, a lot of challenges that we face. But I can report that, many of the things that the other gal who met Valiant Thor, and I have respect for her. I think her apperceptions and her knowledge of the past are a little limited, and we all are limited in many ways, but she certainly doesn't know what Valiant Thor thinks about Christ or the message of truth. I would agree that Dr. Frank was a little more of a Bible thumper there, and I'm trying to see if we can get Cause to come on and say goodbye. So I'm going to uh, take him off and send him a new message. So I guess in closing, I guess I'll just say this, we can make another show if I can get him back on, but this has been kind of a long show, but I felt it was important to address these issues. Also, the interviewer, Michael Sala, who I respect as a great researcher, again, not much is experience like I've had, meeting 25 or 26 Venusians throughout my life, face to face, taking aboard a mothership. I don't remember that information, and the Venusians had told me that the Pleiadians blocked that memory from me for my own safety, and the Venusians do contact me telepathically. So a lot of my writings are done that way. So I'm a telepathic, I don't channel. So I get information and I act upon it. There's usually a feeling like a little energy on the back of my head, kind of in my vagus nerve, kind of like it chills kind of thing. It's a connection, and they use a tensor beam, which is a direct laser beam, a very fine pencil thin beam that attunes to your personal frequency, and information comes forward. And if I'm pretty dense, they'll actually send a messenger in that will come and, unbeknownst to me, misdirect my actions. So look at Kaz there, just sitting there all frozen with a wonderful thought on his head. I'm sorry he has no connection there, but so I'm going to encourage you all to come to the Mount Shasta Summer Conference. And I did want to mention the one thing that Michael Sala said when the beautiful French-speaking girl in the English islands said that the cigar-shaped ships are a negative group. Michael, you can hear this. It's okay, because you were directing it to me. You said, "Oh, a lot of people are going to be surprised about that. Maybe George Adamski and George Van Tassel were talking with the negative ETs." Dude, you don't have a clue, but it's okay. I'm glad you quoted Raymond 19 times in one of your books. So, he's a very high level adept and a contactee, and I know that that will be realized one day. So I just want to make it clear that that the Venusians is not a cabal controlled world, as the Tagatans claim. And I want to also make it clear that the cigar-shaped ships that George Adamski met was actually the same woman that Raymond met and who is now the Queen of Venus. Her name was Lady Orda. She told George Adamski that the Earth people couldn't handle a woman being in a position of responsibility, and she said to call her Orthon. So we're getting a lot more truth and gnosis, and I think people just, don't jump on any bandwagon. Don't even jump on my bandwagon. If you need to use your own discernment and determine what the truth is. But I can tell you from my 47 years as a contactee and my experience that there is a very benevolent, positive force. They're our closest neighbor. They're in charge here. They've been here for a long time. They are a very small group, and our federation has been very much involved. And we've had occasional look-ins, but now, because of what was going on here and Christ's mission here, there was a tremendous amount of attention placed on this world right now. And yes, there are many, many, many huge confederations and alliances determined to free the earth and to drag us kicking and screaming, as one group said, if need be, into the fifth dimension. So where do we start? Where do we go? Do we sit around and wait for them? No, we change our consciousness. We change our thinking. We treat each other and guard each other as a pupil of our eye. We realize we're all brothers and sisters of the same living, loving God. And we do unto others as we would have done unto us. So I'm going to be sharing more of Dr. Frank Strange's inner circle meetings and quotes from Valiant Thor and his brother Don, and the various messengers and Vice Commander Teal of the Starship Victor 1. And as I said, they are working. It's all hidden to your knowledge. They don't need any fanfare or pat on the back. Their reward is influencing us and changing us one heart at a time to patient, kindness, loving, compassionate people who will refuse to follow the materialistic control network created by, I'll just say them, lower thinking beings, who got you wearing this and doing this for your own safety. This is all going to be revealed. And I'm hope that there will be great healing coming for many people. There's no more doom and gloom or the black crepe paper hangers of this and that. We're evolving into something wonderful and something great. We're going to have some changes. It's going to be challenging, but realize that all of this is happening, folks. The reason this is happening for us to turn away from our materialistic ways and the lack of right relationship. Okay, so you can check out all of Raymond's books on my website, thepromiserevealed.net. If you're interested in hearing all the messages, recorded message, video messages that I have of a 6-dimensional moon-based commander answering questions and voice recorded messages from the Queen of the Galactic Confederation of Light to the Earth, to my members, to the people in China, to the people that attend my conferences, you're going to hear a new round this year. She always gives a wonderful address, and there are some questions answered. I have well over an hour of recorded messages now. So it's a lot to get through, and I'm hoping to share them all and to answer questions for you. I'll let Raymond answer most of them. My senior postman, we're just delivering a message. So thank you all so very much, and I look forward to seeing you in Mount Shasta this summer. If you thought about it, try to get your tickets today, because we are going to be selling 3 days. It'll still be a fantastic conference, and many people can't come. So we do have 2-day and 1-day tickets as well. So we'll look forward to seeing you Mount Shasta this summer. Okay, I want to thank you so very much for checking in. And this is Rob Potter on the Victor of Light, the promiserevealed.net, and Rainbow Wave Productions and the Mount Shasta Summer Conference. 30 speakers in 4 rooms. Imagine trying to schedule that all on my own. And I'm not so good at the computer, folks. So when my site crashes and there's glitches, forgive me. I'm just a human doing my best. All right. God bless you all. Keep positive and hold on to the truth.